Sometimes the most confusing moment in a relationship is not when someone leaves. It's when they come back. And for a moment, everything feels normal again. You had already started letting go. Not completely, but slowly. You stopped checking your phone every 10 minutes. You stopped replaying old conversations in your head. You stopped wondering what you did wrong. You told yourself a quiet truth. Maybe it just wasn't meant to continue. And strangely, that thought brought a little peace. Not happiness, but peace. Because uncertainty is heavier than loss. When someone disappears emotionally, the silence leaves space for thousands of explanations. Did he lose interest? Did he meet someone else? Did you say something wrong? Did you care too much? The mind searches for answers the way a wound searches for air. But eventually, even confusion gets tired. And that's where you were. Starting to move forward. Not dramatically, just quietly. Until one day his name appeared on your phone again. No warning, no long explanation, just a message. I miss you. 3 simple words. Words that instantly reopen something you had carefully started to close. Because missing someone means something, or at least, it feels like it should. Your heart reacts before your logic does. A small rush of warmth, a small sense of relief. Maybe you weren't imagining everything. Maybe what you felt was real for him too. Maybe he just needed time. So you reply, carefully. Not desperate, not distant, just open enough to see what happens next. And at first the conversation feels familiar again. Not intense, not dramatic, just normal. The kind of normal that feels comforting because you thought it was gone. He asks how you've been. You ask the same. There are small jokes again. Small moments of connection, nothing too deep. But something is there. And for a moment, you allow yourself to feel hopeful again. Not fully, just a little. But then something strange begins to happen. Not immediately, gradually. The conversation slows. The replies become shorter. The energy shifts. It's subtle, almost invisible at first. But you feel it. The same feeling you noticed before he disappeared the first time. A small emotional distance, like someone slowly stepping backward while still talking to you. You try not to react to it, because reacting too strongly might push him away again. So you stay calm, you give space, you don't demand clarity, but eventually, the silence returns. Not dramatic silence, just the quiet fading of attention. Replies become slower, then days pass, and then nothing. Again. And that's the moment when confusion becomes heavier than before. Because now there are 2 contradictory realities living inside your mind. Reality 1, he said he missed you. Reality 2, he disappeared again. Both things happened. Both things are real. But together, they make no sense. Why would someone say they miss you and then go quiet? Why come back at all if the ending will be the same? The answer is uncomfortable, but also surprisingly human. Sometimes people return not because they are ready, but because they felt the absence. Missing someone does not always mean someone is ready to stay. Sometimes it simply means the distance created space for emotions to rise again. But emotions rising and commitment deepening are not the same thing. An avoidant heart often moves in waves. Distance creates longing. Closeness creates pressure. So when you stepped back and started letting go something inside him, relaxed. The emotional pressure disappeared. The feeling of being expected to define something disappeared. And in that calm space, his feelings resurfaced. So he reached out. Not because he had solved the internal conflict, but because for a moment the conflict wasn't loud anymore. But closeness has a way of bringing old fears back to the surface. Not intentionally, not consciously, just naturally. The more the connection becomes real again, the more the internal alarms start ringing. Questions appear. Is this going to become serious? Am I ready for that? What if I disappoint her? What if I lose my freedom? What if I hurt her again? These questions rarely get spoken out loud, but they influence behavior. distance returns, communication slows, and eventually the same pattern repeats. Not because the feelings disappeared, but because the feelings became overwhelming again. And this is the part many people misunderstand. When someone pulls away like this, it often doesn't mean they felt nothing. Sometimes it means they felt too much. But emotional overwhelm does not create stability. It creates avoidance. So you sit there looking at the silence again. And this time you see the pattern more clearly, the closeness, the retreat, the return, the silence. It wasn't random. It was a cycle. And cycles only stop when one person stops participating in them. Not with anger, not with blame, but with clarity. Because the hardest realization in relationships is this: someone can miss you and still not be able to stay. Both things can be true. Missing someone is a feeling. Staying with someone is a capacity. And those two things do not always live in the same person. So now you face a quiet decision. Not about whether he misses you, but about whether you want to live inside a pattern that repeats the same ending. Because understanding someone doesn't mean sacrificing your own peace. Sometimes the real shift happens when you stop asking, "Why did he disappear again?" and start asking, "What kind of connection actually feels calm for me?" And when that question becomes stronger than the confusion, something inside you changes. You stop chasing explanations. You stop waiting for clarity from someone who doesn't have it. And slowly, very quietly, the cycle loses its power. Not because you forced it to stop, but because you stepped outside of it.